Starting out as a wizard, don't know what spells that you need to take. Maybe your teachers weren't as good as Harry's. Well, I'm here to help you pick some of the either more common or more useful spells, and then you can decide where you're going to go from there. But stick around as I go through a few levels of the best spells for the Arcane Wizard. The arcane spells wielded by a wizard are second to none. Wizards have access to some of the best spells, usually the preferred spell list, that you can get in the Pathfinder game. When it comes to cantrips, 0-level spells, though they're different than what some of you may have dealt with in games like 5e, cantrips are still 0-level spells. They are cast unlimited amount of times. They do not increase in level to the effectiveness that they do in 5e. So having one level dip to always be able to deal massive damage is not going to happen in Pathfinder. As crazy as character building is for everything else. One of my favorite spells has always been Prestidigitation. Having a 1-hour duration, being able to color, clean soil, being able to warm items, chill them, flavor them. Doing this every round means your character never eats bad food, never has a warm drink or a cold meal, and is always clean no matter what. In fact, in one campaign, there was a laundry service that was set up using specifically this cantrip, just as a way for extra income and also used as a fence for information while the players were going against a Dark Queen. But Prestidigitation has always been one of my favorites. You can even do lights like you would for a lighter or something like that. Now, it has gotten a little bit weaker since previous editions, but there's some good ones in here. Pathfinder Mending is got a long casting time when it comes to being used. One of my players forgot when they came from 5e. It also has restrictions. I allow a little bit more with Mending as long as it's not used in a broken situation, but I usually allow my characters to use it quite a bit. Detect Magic is something that you will always use, unless you're like one of my players and constantly sees magic. It's just something you're going to use. Level 1, level 100, doesn't matter. It's fantastic. It's always great. Detect poisons, things like that. Great when you're trying to find either an item or look out for enemies. Read Magic is another one of those great spells while you're getting up to read scrolls and items that you have, glyphs, in order to make sure that you understand them. Let's see. Message is okay. We use it a lot, especially at lower levels, until someone gets some kind of telepathy. The players will use it. This current game, I actually gave them akin to something like cell phones, so it's not seeing the use it usually does. Now, first level spells. There's some spells that you will see constantly, depending on what your class is. A wizard, you'll probably use these for a long time. Some of the best spells that you're going to want to pick are things like Shield. Got a short duration, minutes per level, but adds an extra +4 AC, negates magic missile attacks, which if your DM's like me and throws toppling wizards at you, sometimes you're going to need it. It's a force effect, so it's going to work on incorporeal touch attacks. So it's great to either top yourself off if you have access to it and you're a frontliner, or to just hold them back. Magic missiles, do it with toppling, like I mentioned, since it's a force effect, it's fantastic. It's a great way for that early half of the game or so, in even longer if you're fighting humanoids, to be able to drop them in the prone position, really give your party an advantage. Plus, they never miss. Get the right wizard, get a first level spell of this that he can cast at his level. It's pretty decent. Plus, it's kind of iconic, even if you're trying to cast it at darkness. Burning Hands is great. Swarms, area effect. Only gets up to 5d4 unless you add a feat to it, but it's a pretty good spell to start with. Sleep, unless you're fighting a lot of undead and corporeal, things like that. A lot of goblins at first level, especially if what campaign you're starting in. It's great. It's always been good to start off with, but after about second, third level, probably, it starts to die off. Mage Armor. Mage Armor, you're going to use this forever until you decide to or get to spend enough money so that this is taken over by some bracers. There are some builds that enhance this, and so it's going to possibly be being used by your character forever. Snowball, like I said, decent range touch attack. You can deliver it if you're a magus with your bow or your gun, like a character in my current campaign. And you can add all the feats to it. So by the time you're getting to mid levels, you're looking at 15d6 damage. It's pretty good. And it's cold. It's not as good as acid or electricity, but it's pretty decent, especially for the level. Protection from evil, great. Even if you're not sure if everything around you is evil for the extra AC, great. If it is, still only a minute a level, but it's also great so that if your characters get possessed or something, you can use this and give them an extra save or make them immune to certain effects like possession, things like that. Mental control. Second level spells. Admonishing Ray. This is one that I believe was originally 3rd edition. Not everyone allows you to use it. I don't mind if my players do. It usually is going to get passed up eventually, and I have a character that has absolutely no range, and this is practically her only option as an oracle. At least her best option. But blasting non-lethal force damage, that's your big deal. It hits like a truck with 46 points, but it's non-lethal. This is also something that I use a lot against my players in the first part of the game. So I can knock them unconscious. I can let them feel like they're going to lose without worrying about killing them, because we all know the first few levels of being a adventurer is terrifying because you can die by anything. Scorching Ray kind of mimics this. So it's fire. Not going to hit everything, but it's still pretty basic. You're still looking at 46 fire damage. Touch range increases with your level to a max of level 11. Still good. I have a character at 14th level that was still using it whenever she was playing through. Maybe she got a wand. Web's great. Low levels. Lock down an area. You can deny them the ability to move through. They have to either bust through it, cut through it, use flames. I mean, it's great. It's also good if you want to let them out. Just have that wizard cast his Burning Hands. Visibility, fantastic until you get greater. Just being able to allow a character to stealth that much easier, allow you to get that extra assistance with maybe your first attack at the start of combat. Mirror image you will use forever. This is one of those things that it creates 1d4 images of yourself plus 1 image per 3 caster levels, and your players are going to use it forever. If they think they're going to walk into combat, or if they can quicken it, they're going to pop this thing on. It's going to allow them a lot of defense, even if they have low AC, just simply for the possibility that they're going to waste multiple attacks getting through a character. If I have a character with a lot of natural attacks or something, I will a lot of times use that on my wizard or whoever has this, because it gives them that feeling of not being invulnerable that they will sometimes get. They're fighting a single character like a big bad or maybe a general or something that only has maybe one attack, they'll stand there and not be so scared. Meanwhile, natural attacks one round might be able to get through all of those extra images, opens them up and makes them be more fearful and therefore be more tactful. Hideous Laughter is a decent little spell. Will save on an enemy, negates it, but it's a way just of locking someone down. Going on to third level spells. Deep Slumber, if you want to use it, that's going to get you up to 10 hit dice worth of targets, which is obviously better than Sleep. But it's going to pull a little bit more. Maybe you're kind of like the way that deals. It's nice little area control. If you're a witch, you're going to use Slumber Hex all the time for levels to come. Haste, third level, wonderful. It is something that pretty much everyone who has melee is going to take. Or if you're a summoner, you get it at level 2 spells, which is fantastic. So you're going to get it earlier than everybody else. But haste is great. My current party is hitting 15, and they all have ways to cast haste, have haste boots on, or an ability that works the same as haste. Because melees, being melee, is always able to get that extra hit. It makes a difference. Fireball, classic, beautiful. Truth be told, it's not always great. I love it. Some of my players still love it. It goes up to 10d6. It is reflex for half. So depending on the mobs, they might or might not be able to do it, but it's a great way to hit a lot of lower level characters. And I always try and give something to my wizards so that they can feel like their area spells get used and they're not just buffing the rest of the party. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt's fantastic. 120 line, position yourself, blast through a whole bunch of people. I use it on my party all the time. 10 up to 10d6 at level 10, same thing as fire. Can be enhanced with meta magic. Great. Displacement. Displacement is used for ever. I have a character that used displacement in a fight just last week. It just means that it's a short duration, but there's a 50% chance total concealment. So it gives you basically a 50% chance of being missed when someone attacks you. Now, there are plenty of ways to get around this when it comes to true seeing, other kinds of sight, blind sights, things like that. But it's a great way against normal characters or PCs to make them last longer. Suggestions, great. I don't have a lot of players that have used it, but as a GM, I have used it a ton, and I love it. I mean, it's one of those things that I don't use to injure them in combat. It is one of those things that I love to use on my players. The monster has enough levels, or if they have a high enough DC, unlike my current party where everyone has a great will save. But telling them to walk home when they're in the middle of a city or a dungeon. And now your players have to find a way to stop their barbarian from starting on a 2,000-mile trek because she's decided that she now has to walk home. So they're either chasing her down or casting protection from evil of her so she gets another save, whatever they can. Dispel magic. Only overshadowed by its greater version. It's fantastic being able to target an object or creature spell and to try and get rid of it. It's great for a debuff. I have a wizard that uses it fairly often because she has a feat that lets her use a first level or a low level wand and cast it at her current level. So it's great. But it and then the greater version I use on my party quite a bit. They are quite experienced with constantly buffing. Right, fly. Fly is great. Everyone should fly. By level 5, you're going to have your party, or all of them if they want, being able to fly. It's just something that's going to happen in Pathfinder. I usually like to do a lot of my puzzles can be circumnavigated by flying by or before they get to level 5. Another thing that I'll do with puzzles is I will put up fields that negate things like transmutation magic or reverse gravity, something that affects it. But flying is fantastic. Everyone should fly all the time. And that is the first 3-level and cantrip of some of the best spells in Pathfinder. And next one, I'll be going over some of the 4th level and onward spells. And once again, they may not fit every situation, but their spells most likely you as a player or you as a DM is going to deal with every single time. Just something your players, they're the best ones out of the box. So outside of a specific situation, they're going to be using haste, fireball, mirror image. And so they're just the best for what they do for the general situation. If you like this video, check out my others. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any tips or requests, drop them in the comments below. And until next time, may your crits be epic, your adventures legendary, and your gaming table filled with laughter.